Islam Moorish. I'm Menezakil, Chief Representative of the Moorish Republic, and I'm calling this video 8 Years a Slave. It's really about my ordeal after finding out about the nationality and the straw man. It starts back at October of 2010 with me fixing a friend's computer and him telling me to copy a file to my computer because he wasn't necessarily sure of what was going on with the information in it. He couldn't understand it. So, well, all of it. So I copied this file to my computer and took it home, and when I opened it, I was immediately turned out by the information. I stopped going outside. I stopped selling weed. I stopped doing a lot of things because I would get up at 9:30 in the morning and study all day until about 2 or 3 in the morning, just because the information was so interesting and it had me going in so many different directions. Initially, what I discovered was the Moorish Divine and National Movement with nationality, Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Science Temple, and just basically Moorish nationality, overall history, all of that. I also discovered commerce. I discovered the straw man, the birth certificate, UCC1 statements, trusts, all these other different techniques to capture or control the straw man. Initially, nationality caught my attention, and with the Negro, black, and colored thing, that was very interesting to me, and it has taken me on a nice little journey in my life. It's still going. The other thing, commerce, straw man, birth certificate, that's what distracted me. The shiny things of commerce, the treasury direct account, House Joint Resolution 192, except for value. Everything is prepaid. All of that is what got me, and that's what's distracting our people from nationality right now. But what happened was, in studying all this, I'm not one to sit on the information. So if I find something and find out that it's actually true or real, I'm going to use that information to my benefit. I'm going to use it. So what happened was, from October 2010 to April of 2011, I studied the financial system, the banking system, all of these things, from commerce, straw man, all of that. I studied all these things, and when I was for real sure I had everything internalized, I could run everything off the top of my head, I came out, and the first thing that I did was pay $1,000 worth of traffic tickets. Now, a lot of people making these videos will tell you, oh, you're supposed to be able to do this, oh, you can do this and you can do this, but they never show you what they've done or if they've actually done it. Well, that's what I'm going to do for you here today. I know how to touch the Treasury direct account. Like I said, I came out and I paid $1,000 worth of traffic tickets. I did not go the accept for value route. I shortcut all of that. And when you actually study the system, you'll find out that you don't need any of that. But I went and I paid traffic tickets. That was the first thing that I did. There's a copy of the first check that I used to pay a ticket. The next check. The next check. Check. These are all checks from the treasury direct account that I use to pay traffic tickets and parking tickets, seatbelt tickets. I'm not ready to argue with them over jurisdiction or any of that. So once I paid these tickets, they were upset. They didn't like the way that I paid them, and they came back and told me that my payment was invalid. Now, when you're moving in commerce, you have to know how to speak to these people, or they will railroad you into some nonsense. So when they told me this, that my payment wasn't any good, I sent them a letter back and told them that you have 2 weeks to send me a notice of paid in full or a notice of release, because according to my records, the debt is paid. So I said some more things to them, but that's it in a nutshell, paraphrasing basically. So it wasn't even a week. There's a notice of paid in full. There's another notice of paid in full. There's another notice of paid in full. And there's another notice of paid in full. Now, when they sent me these paid in full letters, they came out and said, "Oh, your license is now suspended for child support." Now, my license has never been suspended for child support. I've never had child support situations or issues like that deep, really. And when I did, I knew how to get my money back. And I did get my money back. So in this instance, oh, drew a blank. So they told me that I owed child support, and it was almost $19,000 in child support. So again, I tapped into the account, so let's see what we can pay now. So what I did was go down and pay I gave them a check written on the Treasury Direct account for $20,000. Here's a copy of the check right here that I gave them. There's actually the CFO of the clerk's office. That's her signature. This is her card that she gave me as a receipt for this $20,000 check. When I did that, same thing. I did that with the told them that, this is paid. My records show that it's paid. Well, they had the nerve to put all of this on my straw man's credit report, and it showed that I owed almost $19,000 in child support. Well, after I gave them that check, it wiped it out. It showed on the straw man's credit report, it shows that it's paid and closed. The account is paid and closed. Now, after I did some digging just to make sure that everything was good on my end and I wouldn't have to worry about this anymore, I corresponded with them a little bit, and I'm gonna read to you some of the letter that they sent to me about this situation. Thank you for your recent correspondence to the Child Support Bureau concerning your child support case. I have looked into the Indiana Support Enforcement Tracking System, and your child support case is not currently being enforced through the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. Now, what that says is the case, as it pertains, as far as Marion County is concerned, is closed because I paid my child support, or I paid them, basically, and the records show that I paid them. Now, if we go back to the the records show that I paid them everything that I was supposed to give them, which was basically nothing. But like I said, I tapped into the Treasury Direct account, and they didn't like it. So what they did next, and all of this is about a driver's license. So what they did next was they pulled a reinstatement fee out of thin air and said that you owe us $350 for a license reinstatement fee. So what did I do? I gave them an e-check online. They allowed me to pay it online. I gave them an e-check from connected to the Treasury Direct account. I still have the receipt. I haven't printed that out yet, but I'm going to print that out too to show you. The check went through. Everything was good. Then they came back to me and said, oh no, your e-check bounced. Now, anyone who knows anything about electronic funds transactions, you know that they don't bounce. Either the money is there or it's not. If the money is not there, the transaction is not going to happen. This is with e-checks, credit cards, all of these things. Money transfers, all of this. If the money's not there, it's going to be an immediate rejection. But mine went through. So, they said the e-check bounced, but the real estate fee doesn't show up on the stolen driver's license record. All that shows up on his record is a $10 bounce e-check fee. And the e-checks don't bounce. So when I go to pay the $10 fee, because they can't put this on paper, because on paper they've been paid. But because they can't put it on paper, they would tell me to go down to the main state Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the main office. And there they could lie in my face and tell me, oh, you owe us $350. Well, why isn't it on the record? Why isn't the real estate on the record? They can't answer that. But they will not let the straw man have the driver's license back. So that's the situation that's what was going on with that aspect of at that point in time. So I left that at that. We're right now, time wise, we're about June of 2011. July rolls around. Oh, excuse me. In May, I also bought a car. I was flamboyant on the check, on the Treasury Direct check, so there were some difficulties with that. However, I was able to purchase a car from a dealership. And the reason I know this, even though I didn't get the car, Chevrolet was still sending me and I purchased a 2012 Malibu in 2011. And the reason I know that I did purchase the car is because Chevrolet was sending me correspondence asking me how I was enjoying my new Malibu. I didn't pursue that because I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose any money. I didn't lose anything of value. I lost this a sheet of paper and some ink. After that, let me see, we roll around to June of 2011 and July. They will have Indiana, Marion County, Indiana, has what's they call a surplus property auction. And this is where they auction off all of the properties that they've stolen for back property taxes. So I decided to try and buy a house with the Treasury Direct account, which on my YouTube channel, there's a video of the hearing, a recording of the hearing that I just had probably a few months ago. explaining what happened with that. But I bought the house. Long story short, they gave me a voided out deed as if it were real because they um, didn't like the way that I paid for the houses. Basically, long story short, the bank robs everybody who is paid with one of these checks. They don't tell them that the check's counterfeit or any of that. They just, when the money, when the electronic aspect of the check goes through, the money is in their account. The money goes to their account. But once the bank gets that piece of paper, they realize that either someone knows something, I don't know what the process is, but they go back and take the money out of whosever account that it is. Now, mind you, this only worked for businesses. It doesn't work person to person. It can, but it would only work once because the banks would freeze your account. But so I went back and forth I bought this house. Went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth from July to March of 2011. Excuse me, from July to March of 2012. I bought there, we went back and forth, and they finally sent me a deed. However, the deed was voided. I didn't know it. They didn't send it. It wasn't stamped or voided out or anything. They sent it to me as if it was a real deed and then sold the house to someone else. That's what I'm suing for. That's what the video is on my YouTube channel. So now at March, I'm like, let me try something else. Let me try to buy a motorcycle. So I go to a motorcycle lot and purchase a motorcycle with the Treasury Direct account. Purchased a motorcycle and a helmet. This was March. This was March of 2012. At that time, I'm trying everything. I was exposed to all type of information. I ran across what's called adverse possession. Now, this is what people call squatters' rights. And basically what adverse possession is it allows you to find an empty property, abandoned property, move in it as if it were yours, take care of it, utilities, all of that, furnish it. Excuse me. And then after, in Indiana, after 10 years, you can obtain title to that property. Well, when you know the laws, when you know the laws of commerce, you can shorten that 10 years significantly. So I found a house. It was a 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom, 4-car garage sitting on 4 acres. It had been empty for years. It was still in it. It had been empty for almost a decade. I moved in, turned the utilities on, furnished it. I was there for approximately 3 months. And while I was there, I bought a Dixie chopper lawnmower, one of the ride lawnmower. That was $4,000. I bought that with the Treasury Direct account. I actually let a friend of mine use it for his lawn care business. It added a second lawnmower to his business so he can cut bigger properties. In exchange, he helped me keep mine maintained because it was 4 acres. So one day, a real estate agent shows up, and long story short, he gets upset because I have possession of the property, and I tell him I'm waiting on a response from the bank. Well, he gets upset, runs and calls the police and tells them that I'm squatting in the house. I'm not squatting in the house. So, long story short, The police tell me my paperwork, my documentation, filed, stamped, notarized, all they tell me that this is fraudulent. And they call it a counterfeit deed. Nowhere on it does it say that it's a deed. No one granted me the property, none of that. So they arrest me. Now, in the meantime, well, when they arrest me, they also towed my motorcycle that I just bought. Well, somehow they contact the motorcycle lot and tell them to report the motorcycle stolen. And the reason that I know that the police did this is because I had the motorcycle for almost 3 weeks. I was arrested at 9 o'clock in the morning. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the motorcycle dealership called the police and reported that I had taken the motorcycle on a test drive and had been gone and didn't return. Now, mind you, I had paper plates and the receipt for the motorcycle. Well, they told the motorcycle while I was locked up, because I bonded out in a week, but while I was locked up, the bike lot put the title in their name, had it processed, and then came and picked the motorcycle up as if it were theirs, as if it was theirs. Okay. Now, while I'm locked up, I'm challenging the subject matter jurisdiction of the court. The first judge that I met was David Hooper. He stuttered and tried to set the hearing for another date. Now, in the meantime, they found out that they could not prosecute me as Minnie Zonkel because they could not connect me to the straw man. So what they did was quietly dismiss the case against Minnie Zonkel. The same day, refiled it, same case number, against the straw man to connect me with the straw man. I didn't know this till years later. I didn't find this out till years later in doing the appeals. But they sent me to the next hearing I had was Judge Reuben Hill. Now, in this process, I went through 5 courts and 7 judges because they couldn't handle what I was saying. So they just kept throwing me off on other judges. But this first judge's name, the second judge's name was Reuben Hill. Black judge at that. I was in his courtroom. There was no one in the courtroom but me, him, the bailiff, the clerk, my brother, and my girl. They saved me for last because of the things that I say. So that I was saying. So I say, challenge the jurisdiction of the court and everything that I say. He sits back in his chair and says, I tell you what, take him back to his cell. Let him study the Constitution a little while longer. And when he gets ready to come back to this court, he will write me a letter. And the clerk said, well, Judge, are we going to set a court date? He said, no. When he's ready to come back, he'll write me a letter. That was so I would give him jurisdiction in that court, because I'm asking to come to the court. That would give him jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction. So what he forgot to do was raise the bond up to some astronomical amount that I couldn't afford. Well, I didn't argue with him. I didn't say anything because the bond was already on my mind. So when he said that and ended the hearing, I just looked at my brother and my girl at the time. They already knew what to do. The bond was only $250. So I'm bonded out. In the meantime, I go back to my house. After I bond out, I go back to my house. They've taken everything out of my house. Everything's gone. Furniture, everything. $4,000 lawnmower, everything is gone. Except my clothes piled up in the middle of the garage. Everything else is gone out of the house. So So I immediately start calling the police officers involved. They they blocked all of my numbers. They blocked they blocked my cell phone number and two numbers that I had connected to my computers, and then they also blocked my girl's number because I'm calling trying to find out where my property is and get my property back. So after they wouldn't give me my property, after they wouldn't answer my phone calls, I went to the FBI. Now at the time, the FBI had a brand new building up on the north side of Indianapolis, and if you've ever been in there, this was my first time even ever being involved or ever going to the FBI for anything. If you've ever been there, you know that once you go in, you are locked in. You are not getting out of there until they let you out. So I go up there, I take all my receipts, all my paperwork, documentation, everything, and I tell them and show them how I bought the things that I bought and how I did the things that I did. Now, if I was doing anything illegal with the Treasury Direct account, I'm sitting in the FBI's office, locked in. I would have been arrested. I was not, because it was legal. So, long story short, they tell me there's nothing that they can do about it and send me on my way. And if they were going to investigate it, they wouldn't be able to tell me about it, which does not make any sense at all. So, because I could get no help, I decided to start what's called a commercial lien process. And that involves notifying the police officers that they have damaged me and you will give me my property back, or I have the option to file a lien against you. Now, there are no threats. This is commerce. The IRS does this to you every day. If you don't pay this money, we're going to do this, this, and this. The bill collectors, if you don't pay this money, we're going to do this, this, and this. Utilities, if you don't pay this money, we're going to do this, this, and this. Lawsuit, if you don't pay this money, well, he didn't pay this money, so we're doing this. So I told them that I could possibly file a lien against them. The very next day after serving them this paperwork, they arrested me in April. This is May. The very next day, there was a warrant for my arrest. They didn't have any address on me. The only address they had was my girl's address, which was my address when she bonded me out. So they showed up to her address under false pretenses, acting like they were looking for someone else, and ended up arresting me for a stolen motorcycle. So again, I'm down, and I go in front of a few judges. There were a few times we were arguing like cat and dog, me and the judge. This was when they took me back. I was in front of Carol Orbison and Amy Barber and Ann Flannelly. These women, no, not following the law. They should be in prison right now. Sheila Carlisle. These women disregarded everything. Their own laws, the Constitution, the state Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, United States Code, Indiana Code. They disregarded everything. Any motions that I filed, they would probably look at the first page, and this is all the judges. Like I said, I went through 7 judges and 5 courts. They would probably look at the first page and just say, I'm going to just deny this right now, and throw it on the desk. They wouldn't even read it. So when I bonded out again. This time the bond was a little bit more. It took me a little bit. it took everybody a little longer to get the money up. I had money put up, but bond. This was the second time, so they're working into my savings. So I bond out again. They put me on GPS. Now the GPS thing, this thing had a little phone on it. So this is why I think they were listening on the phone. So the day that I was going to initiate the suit in the federal court against the police officers, they called me and tell me that they did not have a GPS signal for me and to stay where I'm at. My girl is standing on the balcony. She sees the police pulling up and jumping out with ARs, shotguns, like I'm a terrorist or something. Long story short, they arrest me. Why did they arrest me? Intimidation on the police, because I financially intimidated the police by telling them that I could file a lien against them. That is literally what they arrested me for. So, okay. Once they arrest me this time, they revoke the first bond. So now I'm stuck in the jail. So now I'm sitting in jail and I'm fighting these cases, and they keep filing cases against me, trumped up charges on everything because I won't take a plea. At the beginning of this ordeal, I had one felony count. At the end of the ordeal, I was facing 22 C felonies because I wouldn't take a plea bargain. They just kept filing charges. So long story short, over that 17 months that I fought the case in the jail, in the Marion County Jail, said I went through 7 judges and 5 courts. Now, a couple of judges even run out of the court. They ended up convicting me of burglary on my own house, a house that I lived in, furnished, had documentation downtown, going through the process to get title of the house. They convicted me of burglary on that, and also intimidation on the 5 police officers. Financial intimidation on the 5 police officers. And I was supposed to be sent to prison for 2 years. I was supposed to be sent to prison for 2 years. That 2 years ended up turning into over 5 years. Not for bad behavior, but just because these supposedly college educated people cannot do simple addition and subtraction. So